Human rights issues have often topped world headlines. Before we gear up and point our fingers, we are leaving all debate behind and focusing on the basics. When people talk about human rights, simply put, these are fundamental rights. Everyone, no matter who we are and where we were born, is entitled to these rights and freedoms. These rights cannot be granted or revoked. They are equal and universal. It may sound straightforward enough, but it gets complicated in practice. An international standard on human rights came with the establishment of the United Nations after World War II, in a document titled The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris in December 1948. The declaration contains a total of 30 articles. And Article 1 begins with, all human beings are born free and equal in dignities and rights. However, the mechanism is weak. The United Nations Human Rights Council is highly respected, but the declaration is not a treaty nor is it law. The Council investigates and supervises, but it cannot force a state to compensate or change its laws. Some also say the declaration lacks perspective, as it was drafted mostly by a small group of Western nations. Things get more complicated when countries look at it from their own perspective, their own idea of rights and law. China's constitution confirms and safeguards its citizens' basic and fundamental rights. The U.S. defines it by the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to their constitution. During the speech delivered by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi at the 46th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council, he said,
中国支持世界各国本着相互尊重的原则加强人权交流与合作，但我们反对以双重标准对别国攻击抹黑，反对借人权问题干涉别国内政。
Seeing itself as a developing country, China has worked to completely eradicate poverty. For people living in financially worse-off areas like Tibet Autonomous Region, where people's livelihood were not guaranteed and reading proficiency was low, this means the government wants to help more there to ensure residents' rights are guaranteed. As for the U.S., for issues like police brutality and discrimination against colored, we can expect more from the U.S., as it claimed as being a world leader, accusing China of wrongdoings in Tibet and other regions. While China is working to become a fully developed nation by 2049, is the U.S. capable enough to fix its own problem as well instead of keeping up with double standards?